Good evening, and thank you for joining us to learn about the replacement of the Schaeffer Road Bridge number M-0137 over Little Seneca Creek. My name is Lori Main, and I will be your host this evening. Before we get started, I would like to go over some Zoom instructions for those of us who may not be familiar with the platform. All microphones have been muted this evening. To reduce the bandwidth of tonight's meeting, please do not turn on your video camera. Following tonight's presentation, there will be a question and answer session, if time allows. Please wait until the presentation ends to raise your hand to ask a question. Alternatively, you may type your question into the chat. And when you send your questions to the chat, please direct all chat questions to me, Lori Main, because after the session ends, those will be the ones that are saved. In case we run out of time and don't get to answer everyone's questions, after the meeting, we will go back and answer all questions via email. To raise your hand to ask a question, you will press the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen and then press raise hand. If you have joined by your cell phone, you will press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. And now I would like to introduce you to Brian Copley, who is the acting manager of our bridge program. Brian?
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Brian Copley. I am the acting manager for the Montgomery County Bridge Program. Thank you for attending our meeting tonight presented by the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. This virtual meeting is being recorded, and we will provide a link at the end of the presentation where you can watch and listen to the recorded presentation. We will try our best to answer all your questions. However, if we run out of time, you can still submit your questions to our project manager, Mr. Greg Wong, and he will respond to your questions. This meeting is to explain our county project to replace the Schaeffer Road Bridge number M-0137 over Little Seneca Creek. This project will involve the following: replacement of the existing bridge, stabilization of the stream channel, repaving of the existing approach roadways, and reconstruction of the existing trail parking area. Lori Main is our master of ceremony and technical expert for this virtual presentation. She will be taking care of our virtual chat box and reading questions during the answer and questions session. Greg Wong of the Department of Transportation is the project manager for this bridge replacement project. Here to explain the specifics of the project is our project manager, Mr. Greg Wong. Thank you. Greg?
Yes. Hi, thank you, Brian. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Wong, the project manager with Montgomery County Department of Transportation. Thank you so very much for joining us in this virtual platform. Tonight, I will be sharing with you information about the proposed rehabilitation of the bridge on Schaeffer Road over Little Seneca Creek. Now, I would start the presentation. First, I would like to go over the purpose of today's meeting. Begin with to introduce the project team, then to present the existing bridge and conditions, present the project scope and the proposed bridge, present the maintenance of traffic during construction, and present the current project cost estimates, funding, and schedule. And finally, to obtain your input, which is the most important to the project team, as your input allows the project team to understand the concerns of the community. Your input will be evaluated and considered during the design. The project team consists of Montgomery County Department of Transportation MCDOT, Montgomery Planning and Montgomery Parks of Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, MNCPPC, and Johnson, Milmiron, and Thompson Incorporations, JMT, as the prime consultant, and RJM Engineering Incorporation as the sub-consultant. MCDOT, as the bridge owner, is responsible for the project management, funding acquisition for right-of-way and easement, public outreach for presenting the project to the community and collecting community input, and the coordination with stakeholders and agencies. Montgomery Planning is providing recommendations for master plan implementation, and Montgomery Parks is reviewing parkland impacts and mitigation. The Montgomery County Planning Board will conduct a mandatory referral review meeting and provide their recommendation for the project to the director of MCDOT for consideration. The consultant team of JMT and RJM is providing engineering services to develop the contract documents, including design plans, specifications, and the construction cost estimates, obtain all the required environmental permits, and provide engineering consultations and shop drawing review during bidding and construction. The listed members of the project team, or their representatives, are with us tonight to answer your question after the presentation. This map presents the location of the project site. The project site is in Bowie, Montgomery County. This is Downtown Road, Maryland Road 28. This is White Ground Road. This is Schaeffer Road. And this is Little Seneca Creek. The bridge to be replaced is located on Schaeffer Road over Little Seneca Creek at the indicated location, which is approximately 2,100 feet east of White Ground Road. I'm sorry, okay. The 2023 approved rustic roads functional master plan classify Schaeffer Road from White Ground Road to Burdette Lane as a rustic road. The 2018 approved Montgomery County Bicycle Master Plan does not plan for a bike facility along Schaeffer Road in the vicinity of the bridge. The bridge is listed in the Maryland Inventory of Historic Properties as number M18-47 and is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. The road is posted at the 30 miles per hour speed limit. For the traffic count performed by JMT in 2021 at the bridge, there were approximately 220 vehicles and 65 bicycles per day during weekdays, and approximately 500 vehicles and 170 bicyclists per day during weekends. Now, we would have a brief review of the existing Schaeffer Road bridge to be replaced. The existing bridge was constructed in 1925 and is a 44-foot, 8-inch long, single-span steel beam concrete deck structure. This structure carries a 16-feet wide clear roadway for two-way, one-lane traffic with a W-beam railing and a two-strand steel pipe rail concrete post barrier on both sides, for a total out-to-out bridge width of 18 feet 6 inches, and is supported by 2 stone masonry abutments encased in concrete. The bridge is posted for a weight restriction of 50,000 pounds for single unit truck and 64,000 pounds for combination unit truck. The biennial bridge inspection since 2017 revealed the deterioration of the existing bridge. This slide and the following two slides depict the bridge deteriorations. 1. Concrete deck. The deterioration of the concrete deck includes falling asphalt patches on the lower surfaces, spores underneath the deck and at the deck fascia faces, exposed flange of steel beam at the portion covered by concrete, and spores at the concrete curb. 2. Steel beam and bearings. The photos in this slide show that the peeling paint, rust staining, and heavy corrosions are in evidence at the steel beams and bearings, and the flat debris are caught between steel beams. 3. Masonry abutment encased in concrete. The deterioration of the abutments includes holes, cracks, spores, and heavy efflorescence on concrete back walls and concrete encasement. The mere fact that the masonry abutments has been encased in concrete likely means failure, such as stones coming loose or scouring of the footings while diminishing the structural capability. The project site is located in a parkland partially inside a county-owned property on the south side, and partially inside a MNCPC-owned property on the north side. The green line along the south side of the roadway is the border between two properties. The pink area is the Schaeffer Road Bridge to be replaced. An existing gravel parking area is located at the southeast corner of the bridge, and a trail crosswalk is located approximately 120 feet east of the bridge, connecting the trail on both sides of the roadway. This project provides for the replacement of the existing bridge, repaving of the existing asphalt approach roadways, reconstruction of the existing gravel parking area, and the stabilization of the stream underneath the bridge, including installations of riprap slope protection and the scour countermeasures. The light gray hatch area indicates the resurfaced asphalt approach roadways. The gray area indicates the repaved asphalt approach roadways and the reconstructed asphalt parking area. An access path will be provided from the reconstructed parking area to the existing trail on the south side of the roadway. For the request from Montgomery Parks, an ADA parking space will be provided in the reconstructed parking area. The yellow area indicates the adjacent site to be disturbed by the construction of the project. A total of approximately 16,000 square feet will be impacted by the construction. The next two slides inform you the configuration of the proposed bridge. The proposed bridge will be an approximately 42 feet, 6 inches long, single span precast pre-stressed concrete solid slab beam structure with 5-inch minimum concrete overlay, carrying a 16-foot clear roadway for two-way one-lane traffic and a 2-foot 6-inch wide by 3-foot 6-inch high modified Caratron type 85 concrete barrier on both sides for a total out-to-out bridge width of 21 feet. This structure will be supported by 2 concrete abutments with concrete wing walls, concrete footing, and the 30-inch diameter drill shaft concrete foundation. Riprap slope protection will be installed over the adjacent sloped ground surrounding the abutments and the wing wall. This photo rendering gives you a looking south bird's eye view of the existing Schaeffer Bridge and approaches. This photo rendering gives you a looking south bird's eye view of the proposed Schaeffer Bridge and approaches. This photo rendering gives you a looking west bridge surface view of the existing Schaeffer Bridge and part of the existing gravel parking area at the southeast corner of the bridge. This photo rendering gives you a looking west bridge surface view of the proposed Schaeffer Bridge and part of the reconstructed asphalt parking area. To minimize the disruption to the traveling public and the local community and reduce the impacts to natural resources, the bridge will be closed to traffic within school summer break during the construction. MCDOT has coordinated with fire and rescue services, police departments, transit services, and the public school bus operations for the bridge closure. The traffic will detour using a 5.6-mile detour route from the intersection of Schaeffer Road and White Ground Road through White Ground Road, Cropper Road, Maryland 117, and Richter Farm Road to the intersection of Richter Farm Road and Schaeffer Road. This selected detour route complies with the county's detour route regulation that roadways along a detour route should have the same or higher roadway classifications. The detour travel time is approximately 12 minutes. Due to the low traffic volume on Schaeffer Road, traffic impacts to the detour route will be minimal. The project is currently at the preliminary design stage, which is 30% level of completion. This project is a federal aid bridge project that the federal funds covers up to 80% of the project cost, and the Montgomery County share the remaining project cost. Currently, $800,000 is estimated for engineering cost, which has been funded. A preliminary estimate of $2.44 million for construction and the construction management cost has not been funded yet. A standalone capital improvement project will be created to fund the construction and construction management. According to the current project schedule, the design is expected to be completed in the summer of 2025. And the construction is expected to start in the spring of 2026 and end in the fall of 2026. Please note that the estimated project cost and the schedule are subject to change as the design progresses until it is complete. The next steps of the project is to proceed with the final design based on comments we receive from the listed permitting agencies and the feedback from the community. The permitting agencies include Maryland Department of Transportation, State Highway Administration, Maryland Department of Environment, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, Montgomery County Department of Permitting Agencies, Permitting Services, and the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. The project team welcomes any comments you might give tonight. After tonight, you will have 1 month through October 6th to provide the project team with your comments. You may send your comments by using the online comment form at the provided website web address. Or by email to me at greghuang@montgomerycountymd.gov. After October 6th, the project team will evaluate the received public comments. Your comments will be taken into consideration as the project team proceeds with the final design. You may also contact me by telephone or email at any time to ask questions or request for information. I will be happy to help. Tonight, we will upload today's meeting recording and the PowerPoint slides onto the MCDOT's project webpage at the provided web address, which is also given on the newsletter that you have received. This concludes our presentation tonight. Thank you very much for your attention. Now I will move to the, we will move to the questions and answers sections. The project team would be glad to listen to your concerns and comments and answer your questions. I'm now turning the meeting to Ms. Lori Mann. She will be helping us to run the Q&A sections. Lori?
Thank you, Greg. Does anybody have any questions? We don't have any hands raised or questions in the chat so far. Well, okay, we did get a question. How will the design honor the historic nature of the bridge?
We have been trying to, this is Greg Huang, and throughout the design, we have been coordinated with Rustic Law Advisory Committee and also Maryland Historic Trust and Montgomery County Historic Programs, trying our best to see what would be the proposed structure to meet the existing character of the bridge as much as possible. And based on the input from Rustic Law, we have decided to provide a 16 feet wide clear roadway to match the existing width of the bridge, and also provide a parapet that was selected by Rustic Law Advisory Committee for consideration, which is the Teratron type 85 concrete barrier. So we are trying to incorporate all the comments that we have received today.
All right. Thank you, Greg. We have a question from Tara Merlu. Tara, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the time you have taken to do this presentation. I am a resident right next to that bridge. My house is about a quarter of a mile away going towards Schaeffer Road, not White Ground Road. So one of the questions I have is all the vehicles and all the trucks and everything, are they going to be parking like on the street, or they're going to be using like any properties nearby? I know there's a radio controlled model plane park nearby. Is that going to be blocked or no access to it during this period?
Well, during the construction, the bridge will close to all the traffic, and the construction vehicle may be parked nearby the bridge. We will try to use the roadway close to the bridge as a staging area. And no other vehicle can access through the bridge during the construction.
Okay. And then is there a particular, because I know this bridge, what you stated, was built in the 1920s. Is there any reason why this bridge couldn't be expanded or even include sidewalks on the side of it? Only because as a resident that lives nearby, I have seen a lot of foot traffic or people walking, and I'm concerned about the safety of continuing to have it as a one-lane road with no sidewalks or no type of option to maybe make it into a two-lane just to give more space for those bike riders and those pedestrians that are constantly crossing that bridge.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. This roadway is classified as a rustic road. So based on the input from Rustic Road Advisory Committee, we are not supposed to change the character and the dimensions of the replaced bridges unless there's a significant concern about the safety. And we think that to keep the one-lane bridge, the pedestrian who crossing the bridge can use the entire length, and the traffic approaching the bridge will have to stop and slow down when someone is on the bridge. And so we have been complying with the recommendation from Rustic Road Advisory Committee to provide one-lane bridges at this location to match the existing.
Okay, great. Next, we have a question from Bob Sissel. Bob, can you unmute yourself, please?
I sure can. Thanks, Lori. Can you hear me clearly?
I can.
I'm in St. Louis.
Awesome.
So, my question is, and I understand keeping the rustic nature of the bridge and the style and so on and so forth, but from and I'm the director of Montgomery Ag Producers. It is a 100-year-old bridge, and Model Ts were crossing it when it was built. Small vehicles, and back then, of course, not very many vehicles. But I'm wondering if there's a way to compromise to design the same style of bridge, but at least make it 1.5 lanes so that modern farm equipment can be moved on it. Currently, at 16 feet wide for the inner side and 21 feet wide for the outer side, at 16 feet, the modern combines go anywhere from 14 to over 18 feet wide, depending on the type of tires and the type of ground that the equipment's being used on. And to keep it this width basically means that a modern tractor and combine would not be able to cross the bridge, which has been a problem in the past because it's 16 foot now. Farmers have to move their equipment long distances around it to get to places. So I'm wondering, and I understand the Rustic Roads Committee would like to keep it the same maybe not necessarily to a 2-lane, but certainly wide enough to handle modern farm equipment because it is part of the agricultural reserve.
Well, thank you for your comments, and I cannot speak for Rustic Road Advisory Committee, but I will bring your comments back to them for their further evaluation and consideration.
Yeah, they're good. They're good people, and they're doing a great job. I just think we probably need to work closely with them in consideration of at least making the bridge modern enough, not in design necessarily or appearance, but modern enough in width to handle modern traffic.
Well,
and
we understand. Yes, go ahead.
I certainly would agree with the earlier speaker that building a bridge today that's going to cost $3.5 million from design to construction. It looks like that's where your math is, about 3.3 million. To build it today as if we were still driving really small vehicles, and the fact that a person should not be walking on the bridge when a car is on the bridge adds a certain level of danger to it. So, and the ag community will work closely with the Rustic Roads Committee and have discussions with them about it too as we move forward.
Yeah, at the beginning, okay, thank you for the explanation and the comments. And we have been coordinated with Rustic Road Advisory Committee since the beginning of the project. Initially, we proposed a wider bridge. However, we have been requested continuously by the Rustic Road Advisory Committee to keep the roadway clear roadway width to be 16 feet for one-lane two-way traffic. Therefore, we really can do is bring your comments back to Rustic Road Advisory Committee to ask them to reconsider their recommendation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think decisions like this should be made by multiple voices, not just one committee.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Greg, the Rustic Road Committee would like to look again at the parapet. Can you flip back to that?
So we have Rustic Road Advisory Committee representative with us today, huh? Okay, great. Is this what she would like to take a look?
They just put in the chat that they wanted to look at the parapet.
This is the parapet. I can bring the cross section up. This is the parapet, the typical section of the parapet. This is the elevation view of the parapet from outside of the bridge.
Okay, and Laura Van Etten with the Rustic Road Committee would like to know if there are other types of railings to choose from.
At the beginning of the project, we present several different options to Rustic Road Advisory Committee. And this is the type of the barrier that was recommended back in 2021. And that's why we adopt this type of the barrier for the proposed bridge. And unless Rustic Road Advisory can come up with something else that they can accept it by State Highway Administration, and also to meet the MASH test requirement, which is the test for a parapet. Otherwise, we have to continue to proceed with the design with this type of the barrier. But we're open to and welcome the Rustic Road Advisory Committee to provide any recommendation, provide recommendation for any other type of the bridge for our barrier for our consideration.
Okay, Ms. Van Etten says that Darcy Buckley sent photos of railings to choose from, and they did not apparently consider all options. And so they were wondering if you could send more options for the railings to Miss Christina Contreras.
Well, we have been trying to come up with a barrier that meet the test requirement, and also as much closer as possible to the existing barrier. There are so many different type of the barrier, and it would be very time consuming to bring one by one for Rusty Road Advisory Committee to evaluate. So we will suggest that the Rusty Road Advisory Committee, if they have something in their mind, then can bring it to us for our consideration. Since we have provided Rusty Road Advisory Committee many different options previously at the beginning of the project for their consideration, and this is what they selected.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. Does anybody else have a question? Okay, Tara would like to know, does the Rustic Road Committee have the final say over the width of the bridge?
The final step, I would say, will be determined by the Director of Department of Transportation. But this will be, we will wait the input from Rustic Road Advisory Committee seriously. And so the determination will be more like a mutual agreement between the Director's Office and the Rustic Road Advisory Committee.
Okay, that's all I have. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, seeing that all questions have been answered, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you, everyone, very much for joining us. And if you think of any questions or comments that you would like to share with us, please feel free to email Greg Huang or visit the project website, where you will find a link to the comment form. And yes, Greg has shared his email right there. And again, the comment form is on the website. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Rahul.
Yes, Bob, I will send you a copy of the video.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good evening.
Yes, thank you.